Hi, welcome to this video on my walking robot Mirft2 with the TXT controller from fischertechnik. Last time I made a few changes, most notably replacing the gear axis by metal ones, and I changed these guiders so that the legs won't be going anywhere and be restrained by these blocks. But it's not all done yet. This one has to be changed yet, and these supports are not needed anymore, so I can use this one for dislocation and these two for dislocation after I changed it like this. Then I also need to focus on the fact that whenever I run the current program, there's a problem which is most notably noticed. Let me just run it again using my tablet that runs Android. And you see there's barely any movement. There is some little movement, but and the question is, of course, what is it caused by? Is it really the lack of power with the number of, the power delivered by the motors in combination with the gears? Should the gears be less tight together? Should I use different motors? That is one thing. Another thing that already appeared with when I had less gears is that for some weird reason the movement this way is not as much, or more even, than the opposite direction, while the algorithm itself is very clearly that it should be the same amount of movement. Anyway, first thing to do is getting the guidance done. Now that I'm done with the guides, I did something else as well. This part of the guide had this part in it, which is a 42.4 length, and I noticed there was tension in here with all four, and I replaced it by 45, and that seems to suit everything a lot better. So there's no tension in here anymore. And the next thing to do is check the gears, because I want to rule out that the motors are held back by friction of the gears. So, feeling all this, I have it stand on its feet, moving them freely around. That is no problem at all. No real force needed. And turning it around. I do the same, and then I notice that this one isn't quite alright. So that may give a problem, which is this one. So how can I be sure that this doesn't happen? I think I can't. But some way I should, because if I look at this gap and the thickness of this gear, it is quite easily disaligned. But when I look at this one, it is not disaligned at all. There's no space. So how is that caused? That's a very good question. Because construction is all the same. Although one thing I do notice, this piece is not quite in line with the rest of the frame, so pushing this inward solves the problem. Let's see how the rest of it does. This is no problem, and this is a little bit of a problem. Pushing it inward solves most of the problem, but then again there's still flexibility about which I'm not too sure if it is of any influence on the walking. Let's feel for the gears again. In itself this works okay. The other side again, that feels okay as well. Let's run it when it stands on its legs. And I see that the connection is broken. So I have to log in again. Why the connection breaks off, I don't know, but I'm in again. I run it. You can hear the motor being turned on, or being engaged, whatever, but nothing happens. And when I lift it, what does happen then? Clearly more happens. Let's do it again. There was no counter movement. So I do think there is a slight problem with the total weight and the power that the motor gives. That said, maybe I need to give a higher speed to the motors, so it can give something extra. So let's take a look at the script. And then of course I have to I also forgot to mention that I changed the script to have the camera active, and I shall demonstrate it a little later on, because I have, well, I try to demonstrate, I have a little problem in here, because with my other robot using TXT I can use SSH and SCP commands, secure shell and secure copy, to get the images taken by the camera onto the computer. However, this tablet doesn't seem to have such a possibility, not that I've found yet. Anyway, let's concentrate on the motor. Here it is set speed for 125. So if I change this to 250, would that have any influence? I don't know. Let's just check it out. I think this is, and this should have then of course be minus 250. Because I want to keep everything the same. And with this set, I think that is quite fine. Although of course I should put this to 250, but that is just detail. And let me change this line then too. And of course, whenever I manage to get something on the to get this on the computer, I can do a screencast, but I'll have to do for now with this. So let's see how this runs, if it runs. Okay, I'll lift it off the ground, or off the surface anyway. And actually, even with the third run, hardly anything happens. So this is not a solution, and I will have to check on the motor power or a different motor. Next thing I want to demonstrate is the camera. And here I have the camera mounted on some blocks that aren't made for it originally, but I'll have to do. So I put it in the USB and mount the camera here on the edge, which should be working fine. And let's turn it around. and then run it. And when walking, the problem is of course that you get very changing views because of this movement of the robot, and I think you would get a little bit nauseous for the changing of the images, but then again it is no video, it's just pictures. So anyway, let's see how the script responds with the camera added. And I don't see any text messages, so let's see if I have to change yes, and I see it. I disabled the camera action call here, so I remove that, and I did nothing more. So let's see how it works out now. Apparently I forgot to do something in the code. Camera action should do something. I'm not quite sure what's wrong, but let's try again. And it looks like there is a thing going on that is also going on my other model with the TXT camera. So it probably hangs right now and I would have to reset it. So the working of the camera on here is not without errors, not without problems. I hope they will fix it sometime, because it's quite obvious that when on one controller, okay, that may be an error, but on two controllers that's too obvious. Anyway, for now I've checked on the guides again. Let me tilt the camera a little bit. And it definitely looks like I have to do something to the motors. The guides are all okay now, and next time is focusing on anyway the software to get more done. The gears are fine, I think, and next to do is the camera action. And maybe some walking if I get all the gear and the motor done. So for now, thank you for watching, and certainly to be continued.